Guys, Carrie here from Second Spring Naturals. I wanted to come on today and do a series of very short videos to share with you how I handle the organization and finances behind my Etsy shop or my small business. I host a shop on Shopify and I also have an Etsy shop. I have wholesale accounts as well. So my handmade soaps and creams are in a variety of stores also. So I have a lot of different streams of revenue, and that takes a lot of organization. It has taken me nearly 5 years to figure out a system that works for me, and I figured out that the simplified version actually works much better than the more complicated versions that I have had in the past. So what I'm going to do is walk you through one step of this today, and that is standard operating procedures. So I'm going to share with you a few things. Number one, what is a standard operating procedure? How did I learn about it? Number two, why all businesses, no matter how small you are, even if you're a micro business like me, why all businesses should have standard operating procedures in place. Number three, what a standard operating procedure looks like, so I will share one of mine with you. Number four, where to start when it seems overwhelming. So how do you start keeping these procedures? So I'm going to share with you some of my own versions and give you some tips on starting on your own. So number one, what is an SOP or standard operating procedure, and how did I learn about it? I first learned about it in a Facebook group I was a member of for soap making that shared a lot on compliance and helped me to feel like I was in compliance with what the regulations were, as loose as they were for FDA, so the Food and Drug Administration. So for soaps and cosmetics, there are some things that you need to comply with, and one of those things is not making claims on your skincare labels or anywhere in your social media or on your website pages. So for my handmade soap and cosmetics business, I need to make sure I'm not saying things like, this will cure eczema, or this mask is going to help cure acne, because I don't have testing in place behind that. So as great as my products are, and my customers know that my products are great, I leave it to my customers to determine what works for them and to come back and keep buying. And it has worked for me for 5 years without resorting to marketing gimmicks that I should not be doing, because I don't have testing with data behind it to present. So that's the way I run my business, and I'm going to talk to you more about SOPs. So part of being in compliance is having standard operating procedures in place. So say you're a micro business now, but you want to become a big business later, and hopefully most of you do want to grow your businesses, right? You want to have something like a binder. I keep mine in Google Docs, but I also have a physical binder of standard operating procedures, and these are for every procedure that I have in my business. And it has taken me a while to build this, and I'm constantly adding them as new things come up. So for example, what I'll have is standard operating procedures 1 through, I believe, 200 right now for mine. These involve everything from how to clean up my soap room after a batch of soap has been made, how to make a batch of soap following the recipe, how to complete my accounting procedures at the end of the month. Every single thing has an SOP, from packaging to labeling, all of it. How to remain hygienic and keep things sterile when I'm making my creams, that kind of thing. So every single thing has an SOP, and it all follows the same template. Where did I learn about that? I learned from Marie Gale how to create a template. So you can look up Marie Gale's book on good manufacturing practices and find it on Amazon. That book is gold, and it will help you through all of this. Two, why all businesses should have them. Number one is compliance. If you are making handmade cosmetics or soaps or whatever it happens to be, there are different things that you need to do in order to remain compliant with what the FDA wants you to do. If you are opening a small pizza shop, you still have to have standard operating procedures, and one of the reasons is compliance check on you at some point. And if you're working out of your home, you never know if someone's going to show up and visit your studio. So you want to be ready for this. So number one is compliance. It helps you to keep records, and I'm going to show you through this series how all of this helps you to keep records, and it all starts from the standard operating procedure. Number two, if you have current employees or future employees. So right now I work for myself, I may contract some things out, but in general, it's just me. So it seems kind of silly to write all of these procedures down when I already know what the procedures are. However, my business is growing every year, and I hope to have employees coming in soon that are going to need to know how to do every single one of these things. So all I have to do is give them their own binder or open a binder and say, this is how these tasks are done. And they can do that and they can check them off. Okay, the final step of number 3 is why you should have them, because you're going to be working smarter and not harder. So having all of these things in place means you're going to follow the same steps every time instead of trying to reinvent the wheel constantly, from making batches of soap to cleaning a studio to packaging to how did I do that one procedure online when I wanted to do my Facebook marketing or accounting or whatever it is. It helps you to keep a record and to work smarter and maximize your time. Number 3. Okay, so let's take a look at one of these standard operating procedures. This one at the top says SOP 141 V1. That means version 1. If I make any changes to it, then I change the version of it. But this is the one that will hopefully follow through for several years, unless I make changes to the Best Day soap. So this SOP is for manufacturing Best Day soap, and this is the template that I use that I learned about from Marie Gale in her book on GMP. So what I have first is the manufacturer, which is the batch code. So some of these say manufacturer, some say batch code. I've switched them over to say batch number. So it says SR9022619, and there's a 1 before the 19. So what this means is that I have coded my batches. SR9 is the code or the SKU I have for Best Day soap. The 0226 is the date that this was manufactured, so I know what my formula is for manufacturing. So 226, I made this. It's the first Best Day batch of 2019, so the 119. And you can come up with any system you want. So the purpose of this is to explain how Best Day soap is made. So if I have an employee or someone who wants to come in and make this for me at some point, I have it all ready to go. So over here, I'll come back to that in a second, where it says 49 bars. This was actually a half batch. So the scope. This SOP should be referred to whenever Best Day soap is manufactured and packaged. So it's kind of the purpose. Now this is the ingredient list, and I have some of these covered because I'm not giving out my the recipes that I'm using, but what I am doing is just showing you that I have the ingredients here and I have all of the amounts that I need, but I also have things like soap pot, live spatula, everything that I need, all the way down to the apron, the gloves, the hairnet, the goggles, the molds that I'm going to use. So it's manufactured, and it would say 2 slab molds. Okay, so then I have the procedure and instructions. It says follow recipe to create Best Day soap. So there is an SOP that shows me what the recipe is for making and cutting Best Day soap, and I would use that. And follow SOP 117 for cutting and curing the soap. So that one is another set of procedures. Follow SOP 118 for packaging the soap in the boxes, and follow SOP 111 for cleanup. So if I have somebody coming in, of course I know these, all of these procedures by heart, but if somebody's coming in to do this for me for the first time, then they're going to follow this and know which things they have to grab out, which SOPs to grab out of the binder. And then I have reporting. So log manufacturer in the online system. So I have a spreadsheet for all of my manufacturers for each accounting year, and I'll show you that in another video. File paper after filling out the checklist. So I use the SOP as the checklist, and I actually check each ingredient off as I'm making, after, doing it, making the soap. So I actually take each ingredient and I check each one off as I'm making the soap, and prepping everything, and it ensures that I don't forget anything and mistakes aren't made, and I don't waste time and I don't waste money, and I don't have other costly mistakes. And then it says notes on manufacturer. So I always write a note in, everything went as planned, it was the same. Maybe I'll put something on, because this is soap, I do things like create a gel phase, which you don't really need to understand now, but there's something I can do that maybe I've tried, or this soap gelled more than another one, and maybe it had to do with the temperature, that kind of thing. So I'll just make some notes to reference the next time. And then I know that I can go back and look at that. So I'll always look at the last one when I pull out the new one. And then up here, I put the date, and then I'll put how many bars. So I just wrote in 49 bars, and then I put logged with a question mark, because I want to check that off to make sure I have logged it everywhere online that I need to. So that's what the SOP looks like. You can just keep it in a binder just like this, and it's super easy. Where to start when everything seems overwhelming? One thing you can do is you can start just a simple Google Doc. We all have access to Google Docs, so start a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet and make a physical list of every procedure you can possibly imagine that is involved in your business. This can seem very, very daunting, and it actually held me back a little bit at first because I thought this is too much. There's too much here to do. This is something you can also outsource to a virtual assistant if you can get a template going, and then write up some notes for procedures and have them written up. But I actually did all of these myself, and it's pretty manageable, and I am very busy. So this is something that you can do, whether you're busy or you're not. Take advantage of the off season and get these done. This is the perfect time of year to get some things in place like this. So open a Google Doc and just brainstorm every procedure you can possibly imagine, and then kind of categorize them. So put them together. If, for example, for me, I'm making a batch of soap, I need something that shows me how to make the soap, how to prep the area before I make the soap, how to clean up the area, how to cut the soap, how to box the soap, how to make sure my batch codes are on it, how to print my SOP for it so that I can document everything I need to, how to then log that online, and how to put the batch stickers on my actual soap boxes once they're boxed. So there are a lot of different steps for each thing, and a lot of them will use the same procedures. You can refer to them. So just get a Google Doc, get them all categorized according to things that are alike, and then give them a number. So it's SOP 1, version 1, so V1. All the way through to whatever you need. And once you actually put them in categories, leave a little room. So leave some numbers there to add some things to it. So if you're making specific soaps, all of my soaps are together, but I leave like 20 digits there so that I can add in new soaps that I'm going to be creating in the next couple years. Things like that. So you want to start that doc and number them. From there, you start working, you keep that as your master list of your SOPs, but from there you start working a little at a time. Just do one of those sections at a time and create your SOP. Maybe do 10 of them at a time working from a template. You actually would be surprised how little time it takes to actually get this done. I always keep a printed copy. So I have them online, but I also have a printed copy in a binder. If you ever have, for example, a cosmetics business, you might have somebody that comes from a government agency who wants to see things, and they want to see things online, but they also want to see them in your binders. So this is something that you can do, is have it in both places. So what else can you do to get it started? Simply just work a little bit at a time, and then as you think of the need for more standard operating procedures, just put some notes, like get sticky notes, and just add it to that master list that you need to create documents for these as well. And then you can add it to your master list, print out a new copy, and you'll be good to go. So once you have that SOP in place, even for, this helps you to begin managing your inventory as well, because what you'll be able to do then is you'll have your batch codes on it, and you'll be able to code each project according to the SKU or the code that you gave each project as well. So everything kind of links to everything. And that's it. So I'm really hoping that this helped you today, and that you'll follow the rest of the videos that I have planned to share with organizing my inventory and planning out production, which helps me then order my product.